And didn't you hear? SmackDown is staying 3 hours for the foreseeable future. So saith WrestleVotes. That's a change from their previous plan, which was to move the show back to 2 hours in June. It's been 5 months of this. I said it on my SmackDown stream last week because we hadn't heard anything new about that June 6th date that Meltzer mentioned in The Observer a while back. You know, he said that was the rumored date that they would scale the show back. And then weeks and weeks went by and nothing was said. And I'm like, it's been awfully quiet. I wonder if they're still backing down to 2 hours or if they changed their minds. And I'm like, watch, they're going to end up keeping this fucking thing at 3 hours because USA Network loves it. Right? That's what I said. And plans clearly did change because Triple H himself was on Pat McAfee's show earlier in the year flat out saying the 3 hour format on Fridays was only temporary and the plan was to go back to 2 hours. That was Triple H himself saying that. I'm sure he would much rather write a 2 hour show than a 3 hour show anyway. That's why Raw is 2.5 hours on Netflix. If he wanted it to be 3, I don't think Netflix would object to a 3 hour Raw. But there is no wrestling show. I don't care what promotion, there is no wrestling show that needs to be 3 hours on a weekly basis. None. Not a single one. You could dig up Macho Man Randy Savage and you could throw Bret Hart in a time machine and make him 30 years younger. No wrestling show needs to be 3 hours every single week, let alone these SmackDown shows that they've been giving us this year. Now, WrestleVotes did also say that the show could go back to 2 hours, possibly sometime in the fall. Sure. I'm not falling for that again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. USA Network is keeping that shit 3 hours well into next year and beyond. I would be shocked if it ever goes back to 2 hours. Why would it? That third hour probably does better numbers than anything the network could air in its place. What does USA Network even have anymore? Nothing. They have shit. They have WWE and Law and Order reruns. That's it. And I love Law and Order reruns. But that's it. That's what they have. Here, look. Here's the USA Network schedule for today. Okay, I'm recording this on Sunday, June 1st. As I am sitting here, Law and Order Special Victims Unit is on. Okay, after that, Law and Order SVU. Followed by Law and Order SVU. Law and Order SVU. Law and Order SVU. Dude, I swear to you, it's all day today. Right on into tomorrow and all day Monday. Literally 24 hours of Law and Order SVU. Tuesday, June 3rd, at 3 o'clock in the morning, finally, Dateline. But fear not, because at 9 a.m., Law & Order SVU is back on. They should give Mariska and Ice-T partial ownership in the fucking network at this point. You really think they're going to give up that sweet extra hour of live SmackDown? It was their idea for Raw to move to 3 hours, and now they went and did the one thing I was hoping they wouldn't do. They did the same damn thing to SmackDown. Fuck USA. Let's go back to NXT here for a second. WWE announced last week that they would be running not one, not two, but 3 events over the course of AEW All In weekend, with the next Saturday night's main event taking place the night of All In, Saturday, July 12th, from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. They're also hosting the All Women's Evolution show in the same arena the next night, Sunday, July 13th. But they said NXT would be hosting the Great American Bash as well that weekend, without telling us the when and where. And I told you guys last week, I wonder, Saturday night is occupied, Sunday night is occupied. I wonder when the Great American Bash is going to air. And we got our answer this week to what should be the surprise of absolutely no one. The Great American Bash will be taking place on Saturday, July 12th, with a listed start time of 2:30 p.m. Eastern for ticket holders, which likely means a televised start time of 3 p.m. Eastern. 3 p.m. just so happens to be the start time for All in Texas. So AEW's biggest show of the year will be running directly opposite the Great American Bash. Just as NXT Battleground aired head-to-head with Double or Nothing last Sunday. And look, there is not a single person who is going to watch that All In show that now is saying, oh shit, I have to watch the Great American Bash now, right? Not a single human being. There may be some NXT fans that would watch All In just because it's going to be a bigger show. But for the majority of NXT fans, it's the same thing. They're not going to watch AEW, they're going to watch NXT. So it doesn't really change much, but WWE has completely dropped whatever veil may have existed before for what they're doing here. Like, the mask is off. They want everybody to know exactly what they're doing. They take glee in it, which is just fucking with AEW for the sake of fucking with AEW. You know, the counter-programming generally goes one way. You don't hear about Tony Khan counter-programming WWE typically. Usually it's just one way. And they do it not because they have to do it, but because they can. But that wasn't even the last of it that we heard this week. This has yet to be confirmed by WWE, but WrestleVotes reported on Thursday that WWE will be airing an episode of NXT from the former ECW Arena, now the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, on Tuesday, August 19th. This would be their second time in the venue. Remember, they ran a show last November. Ironically, it was head-to-head with AEW Dynamite, because WWE was trying to avoid running that Tuesday because that was the election. I actually covered NXT that night over AEW. What a mistake that was. But what's interesting about this show taking place on August 19th is that it's only 8 days before AEW begins a residency there, in that very same venue, starting August 27th through September 11th. I'm sure that's just a coincidence, though. Yeah, I really didn't think the comments that Tony Khan made about Nick Khan all those years ago would still be bothering him so much. But he seems to have taken it personally. It seems to be a personal thing, because this is Nick Khan. This is Nick. This isn't Triple H. This isn't Endeavor. This is all Nick Khan. This all goes back to him. Now, for Tony's part, he was asked about all the counter programming before Double or Nothing. And this is before some of this latest news even came out. And this is what Tony Khan said. It's pretty consistent. I would say it's the most consistent event head-to-head scheduling that I've seen since Jim Crockett Promotions. I can tell you this will go a lot differently than that did. And he said that with a smile on his face. You know what I think? I think deep down, he loves this shit. I think they all do. I think they all get off on this. Hopefully it motivates both companies and we get some great wrestling shows out of it, no matter how petty it may be.